One last question for me, just to echo what you just said, right? Recently, I've been getting a lot of comments on my social media, YouTube, TikTok. People always saying, "Well, Singapore riders are just spending way so much money on, flashy bikes. You guys just started 1 year. Look at us. You only got mechanical, like what you just said, bikes, and we don't really upgrade. Maybe these are more for Westerners. They don't really splurge that much, based on the comments that I've been receiving. What's your opinion on that? Like when you first started cycling in Singapore, do you see a lot of really nice bikes, and do you think you'll get one yourself? I mean, yours is a nice bike, but do you think you'll go up to some really high-end lightweight?
To be honest, I think, and I can say for a fair number of people within the West Coast Riders group, we believe is that ultimately it's the rider and the legs, not so much the bike. Ultimately, you have to decide for yourself what you really want, right? And what is your ultimate goal, right? If you're somebody who's very much into racing, into time trials, then you'll get a TT bike with those really deep wheels which look like gramophone records. Okay, yeah. So then it makes sense, right? But if you're not doing that, and then if you're just getting it for the sake of keeping up with the Joneses, if you will, you can spend that money somewhere else. I wanted to get a road bike, and I'm being honest out here, I didn't do a lot of research in terms of the different types of bikes and geometries, this, that, the other, because at the end of the day, I wasn't sure what I would be happy with, okay, and what would be most comfortable with me. So I wanted something which was comfortable, which I would like, and I knew that if I'm spending some money on it, it's giving me the value for my money. This one felt quite comfortable with the geometry and the fact that it allows you to sort of get into the hobby without putting a lot of strain on your body.
This is interesting because I would say 90% of what people submitted was on the price and how much you paid for it. Yes, they said, I'll just read a few out to you. The first one being, do you feel like you've been scammed paying so much for this? Why so expensive and only 105? The price is a bit steep. Why didn't you top up a bit and get a Madone? Looks a bit nicer, but you've already explained a little bit on the Madone. Holy shit, 9 kgs without bags on a modern day racing carbon road bike. Is this a tank? I'm not going to read out because there's a lot. So what's your response to that?
Okay, let's take it one by one.
What's the handlebar and stem here? It looks like a neat solution.
It is, isn't it?
It is. Wow, Francis.
Okay.
Why so many bags? Are you going bike touring? That saddle bag. Unfortunately, I have to remove it, but it's over there. If someone could just toss the bags over.
Oh, sure.
In a little bit more about this.
Sure.
What do you have inside?
Okay, top tube bag. Almost everybody has
I think
this.
this is a saddle. This is the top tube.
Sorry. My bad.
Rolling. Ashit, thank you so much for coming onto my show. Long time coming. We've planned this almost 6 months ago. Finally, we are doing this. We've got a lot of audiences behind. I believe they are your friends from West Coast Riders.
Yes.
Riders, welcome again.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for coming. And we've got a lot to talk about, especially there's a lot of IG questions about your bike in terms of... okay, I won't tell you now. You'll find out about it a bit later. But
okay.
All my episodes, I always like to get to know the rider a little bit better. If you could just give us a bit of introduction, how did you get into cycling and why are you still riding? Because nowadays, COVID cyclists, they're all gone.
Okay. Good question, actually. My name, Ashit Jhaveri. I've been in Singapore for a while now, 13 years. And I started riding in Singapore end of 2021. Before that, I mean, like any kid, I learned how to cycle on a bike with 2 wheels. And I used to ride around my neighborhood in Mumbai. That's where I'm from, in India. I also rode when I was a student in Dallas. And that time I had a road bike, which was a fixie, no gears. So the first time I rode on a bike with gears was in Singapore.
Okay.
And so I started riding in the end of November 21 when I got introduced to West Coast riders by a couple of my office colleagues. And my first ride with them was in fact with my friend here, Wei Hong. And it was on a hybrid. Okay, so I had no idea what to expect. It was a 18-speed hybrid, 2 gears in the front and 9 at the back, and I loved it. And I was like, "Wow, this is fun." And I did a few rides with West Coast riders on that hybrid, including one which was climbs. Okay, climbs like NUS, Mount Faber, Pepys, and that's when I realized that this bike can only go so far.
You did Pepys and Faber on the hybrid.
Yes, to be honest, I only survived on one. The rest I had to push the bike up.
Okay.
And I mean, I would honestly say that that's also the first time I did climbs of those gradients. Okay, and then realized that wow, this is fun. Okay, and I can do more. I can push myself more, and got poisoned quite early, and got this road bike, and been riding with them ever since. And to your question, why am I still riding? Right? It's fun. It's healthy. It's good for the body, and I have 3 very good friends who I ride with. Okay, and I would say I've seen more of Singapore on a bike than on a car, or any other mode of transport. And it's an absolutely, it's a fantastic place to ride a bike.
Do you consider yourself a COVID cyclist? Did you start during the COVID era?
I wouldn't consider myself a COVID cyclist. The only reason I started in the COVID era was, and again, this is an interesting story. One of my daughters wanted a bike, so we went to buy a bike for her, and that's when she said, "I'm not going to ride alone, Dad. You're going to ride with me." So that's when I bought the hybrid, and that was in October, November 2021. So yes, it happened during COVID. Okay, but I would not consider myself a COVID cyclist. So it's not that I took up the hobby or the sport just because I was getting bored and sitting at home and not doing anything.
So Wei Hong is the culprit. Who's behind the camera. We rode together once at the TNCR. Yes. So he introduced you to West Coast Riders, right?
No. To be honest, I got introduced to West Coast Riders by a couple of my office colleagues. Okay, he was with me on my first ride.
Okay,
and that's how the friendship started.
So West Coast Riders, they're pretty open. So like anyone with any kind of bikes can come and join them. Are they like I know most people want people who at least have a road bike, so at least they can keep up to the speed. So tell us more about the dynamics of West Coast Riders. Maybe for people who are watching, who are wanting to join cycling, right? And they'll be like, oh, which group do I join? And some groups can be a bit snobbish,
Okay.
Yeah. So how's West Coast Riders like? I've interviewed a couple of them, and so far very good reviews about West Coast Riders.
Okay, I'll say honestly, I think it's a fantastic group to ride with. The admin, Mr. David Hope, he makes it a point that everybody feels welcome. You can ride any bike you want. Okay, it doesn't have to be a road bike. I've seen people with foldies. Okay, a friend of mine out here, Vincent, he has a unique bike. He has a Canyon. Okay, but with a flat bar. Okay, and then my friend Andrew out here, he rides a Tribin. Okay, all of us are on bikes which are manual. None of them are electronic shifting.
Mechanical.
Yeah, manual. Sorry, car. Mechanical. Yes, they're not electronic. Okay, it really doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what bike you ride. Okay, as long as you are there in the group, having fun, enjoying yourself, and you sort of keep to the ethos and the protocol of the group, right? You don't be a foolish person and do something really foolish. But I think it welcomes everybody. And I've seen people from all walks of life in that group. So I think, to be honest, I think it's one of the best groups to ride with.
One last question for me, just to echo what you just said, right? Recently, I've been getting a lot of comments on my social media, YouTube, TikTok. People always saying, well, Singapore riders are just spending way so much money on, flashy bikes. You guys just started 1 year. Look at us. You only got mechanical, like what you just said, bikes, and we don't really upgrade. Maybe these are more for Westerners. They don't really splurge that much, based on the comments that I've been receiving. What's your opinion on that? Like when you first started cycling in Singapore, do you see a lot of really nice bikes? And do you think you'll get one yourself? Yours is a nice bike, but do you think you'll go up to some really high-end, lightweight carbon bike?
Okay, a good question. Yes, there are people who ride really high-end bikes. Okay, I won't deny that. And there are people who ride, the mass market ones as well. I think it really depends upon the person. To be honest, I think, and I can say for a fair number of people within the West Coast Riders group, we believe is that ultimately it's the rider and the legs, not so much the bike. Okay, you can have a bike which is as light as like 6-7 kilos. Okay, but then if you're not able to push with your body, then it can only take you so far. So to be honest, this one, okay, which I have, is not. It's a mid range, right? It's not the high end of Trek. Okay, the high end of Trek is a Madone, right? This is a mid range. This one is heavy compared to the Madone. Okay, I think it's around 9-ish kilos compared to like 7 odd, 8 odd for the Madone, and I can do reasonably well on this one. Okay, I think I shared my latest Strava with you. I did 35 kilometers per hour on LCK, okay, which for a person like me at my age, okay, which I think, to be honest, I'm pretty happy with it, happy with myself. And at the end of the day, you have to be happy with what you have, right? You can be happy with the most basic bike, okay? You can be happy with the most expensive bike, right? So I would say to each person, what he or she likes. I mean, if you want to upgrade, yes. But then the reason why I bought this one was that when I started riding with West Coast Riders, I didn't know how long I would ride. Okay, I had no idea. Okay, and so I did the hybrid, did a few rides. I said, okay, fine, let me get a road bike. And again, I was not very sure. And I've been with West Coast Riders now, like 1.5 years now. And I think I'll be with them for a fairly long time. Okay, at some point in time, when I get a bit tired of this bike and I feel that, I can do more than what the bike allows me to do, then yes, I might think of upgrading. At this point, I'm happy with this.
So you're saying there's a limitation to bikes?
There is a limitation to some extent, okay? So obviously, as I said, let's go back to what I first said. 90% rider and legs, okay? So that combination, 10% bike. So yes, you do get the benefit in terms of materials, okay, which is, let's say, lighter material like carbon, for example, or you do get the benefit from the geometry, okay, or you do get the benefit from the fact that you might have deeper wheels, like what I upgraded to. So in this bike, it came with stock wheels, alloy wheels. So I bought this later, like 6-7 months after riding on the alloy wheels, and that's where I did get a big speed benefit. So yes, there is a benefit that you get by the different variations which you get on a bike. Ultimately, you have to decide for yourself what you really want, right? And what is your ultimate goal, right? If you're somebody who's, very much into racing, into time trials, then you get a TT bike with those really deep wheels which look like gramophone records, okay? Yeah. So then it makes sense, right? But if you're not doing that, and then if you're just getting it for the sake of, keeping up with the Joneses, if you will, you can spend that money somewhere else.
Right. Perfect segue then to for you to introduce your bike to us. Maybe tell us about the purchasing decision behind this bike. Where did you get it? Why this combination? What upgrades do you make?
Sure. So yes, as I said, I started looking for a road bike after doing a few rides on my hybrid. I still have the hybrid, by the way, and I wanted to get a road bike. And I'm being honest out here, I didn't do a lot of research in terms of the different types of bikes and, geometries, this, that, the other. Because at the end of the day, I wasn't sure what I would be happy with, okay? And what would be most comfortable with me. So I wanted something which was comfortable, which I would like. And I knew that if I'm spending some money on it, it's giving me the value for my money, right? So I did go, to be honest, I didn't have a lot of budget, okay? I first went to Decathlon. Okay, but at that point in time, COVID was at its peak, so they didn't have much of stock. They didn't have stock at all. So then I started looking at the other bike shops, and then I'd heard about Trek from a few people, so I went to Treknology. Okay, in fact, I bought my hybrid also from Trek, so I went to Trek, tried out the Madone, and that time, remember, keep in mind, it was my first time on a road bike. Okay, so I tried the Emonda, which is the climbing bike, and I tried this. And the Madone, frankly, was out of my budget. This one felt quite comfortable with the geometry and the fact that, it allows you to sort of get into the hobby without putting a lot of strain on your body. right? And it was comfortable, and I liked it. So decided to go in for this one. So this one though, okay, if I don't know if you call lights and stuff like that as upgrades, but the biggest upgrade I've done is the wheels. So it came with Bontrager wheels, the alloy wheels, the Paradigm. They have a longish name for it. Nice wheels, okay. And it had this is a 105 group set. So it came with a standard 105 cassette as well. And it was good. But at some point in time, I felt that I needed, something which was a little bit lighter, which would give me a benefit in terms of speed. So then started researching on wheels. Okay, and did some fair amount of research on this one. I said, now I have the time. I didn't do much of research on the bike. Let me do some research on the wheels. Thanks to my friend Andrew out here. He helped me. Okay, and we made a spreadsheet. Okay. Look, I'm an analyst by profession, so spreadsheets are the way to go. So compared this one, the Bontrager wheels, compared NV, compared Zip, compared Princeton, compared the Shimano wheels, okay? And then you decide what is the rim width that you want, okay? The depth that you want. What is the material that you want, okay? And, the price, obviously, it's a big factor. I think in terms of my decision, the reason, these are Bontrager wheels, okay? Which is a sub-brand of Trek. The reason I went in for the Bontrager wheels was they're good. They're good quality. Okay, I read online reviews, and they were every online reviews which I read about the wheels. I said they're pretty good. They're pretty fast, and they hold their weight even in during windy conditions. That's one. Second thing is the warranty. Okay, so these come with a 2 years crash warranty from the date of purchase, and then a lifetime replacement but at a lower cost. So I wanted something with some assurance, right? That in case of something happens to my wheels, then I'm able to opt for a change without busting a big hole to my bank balance. And the third thing was that I wanted something which can fit clincher tires. I've got clincher tires. One of the other brands which is cannot fit clinchers, and if you are riding long, or if you're in a place where you cannot get tubes which are that, right? I mean, I wanted to be easy and more compatible, so that's the reason why I went for this, and I'm pretty happy with the upgrade that I did.
So you wanted something with clinchers?
Yeah.
Any specific reason why clinchers not tubeless when now everyone is going on tubeless? Just as a disclaimer, I'm still on clinchers, but I have my reasons why I'm on clinchers. But maybe I would like to hear from someone else who's on clinchers. Nowadays, everyone's on tubeless, and they said that why are you not on tubeless? You can run a lower PSI. The sealant will do its job in case there's a small pinch. What's the reason that you're not on tubeless?
Okay, I think you are partly answered the question, okay, by saying you're still on clinchers. Okay. The reason, is that one is that the tubeless setup, right? It takes time. Okay. I've seen on one of the rides, in one of the packs ahead of me, one of the guys got a flat. He was riding tubeless. All the sealant came out. It went on the guy behind. Okay. Apart from the yuck factor, okay, if your tire gets shredded, okay, then even a sealant can't really do much, right? The other thing is also from a cost perspective, and also from a perspective of the ability to know as to how to fix a tire, right? I find going the old-fashioned route still works. Okay, that's the reason why I'm still old-fashioned. I've got a mechanical root set as well.
Maybe because you haven't tried electronic yet.
I've tried electronic.
Do you like it?
It's nice. I've tried it on the Shimano Cycling World when we went for some of those. They have those events where you can do it on Zwift. It's nice. It's the crisping. The shifting is crisp. It's light. Okay, it's more precise. Plus, you can adjust with an app, and everything you can adjust with an app. But I'm happy with this. This does the job, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if you are riding, if you are in a group, you can keep up with the speed. You can do the climb. You don't get dropped. You are able to maintain the pace. You're able to maintain the cadence. Fine.
Yeah, and I just want to add on electronic group set. So I had a loan bike while I'm waiting for my new bike, and I forgot to charge the Di2 after not riding for a long time, and I was so excited to go on my ride. We cyclists, we wake up so early in the morning, take so much time to put on our extremely tight clothing, and I went out on my ride and I couldn't shift. I was like, crap, I forgot to charge. There goes my entire morning ride. I planned to wake up so early, had my breakfast, and I can't ride because I didn't charge the battery. So I think that's a downside of Di2.
Yes.
But people blame me though. They'll say like, oh, you didn't do enough preparation before your ride. You should have charged it. Yada yada yada.
That's one factor for me also. Okay. Sorry for being flippant, but before I go on a ride, I have to charge my phone. I have to charge my Garmin. I have to charge my radar. I have to charge my lights. Do I need to charge my bike also? Okay. So, well, you can at some point in time when I upgrade the bike. Okay. And when I don't think mechanicals will become redundant because Shimano just came out with a 12-speed 105 just a few days ago. Okay. But let's say if I were to do upgrade, yes, I might. Okay. And I think that's where, everything is based electronic, based on apps, this, that. Fine. But at this point, when I bought the bike, it was my first road bike, right? I'm just getting into the habit of riding a road bike with gears. I've ridden a road bike before in the US, but it was a fixie. Okay. And in India as well, not a road bike, flat bar bike. Okay. Fixie. Okay. So I really didn't want to, spend so much until I was pretty sure that this is what I want to do, and this is a sport and a hobby that I'll continue for long, right? It's always a decision between cost and priorities, right?
Yeah.
That you take. I mean, to be honest, I'm a big fan of manual stuff. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm digressing from the topic. Singapore, you don't get manual cars. Okay, if I were to get a manual car which can shift first, second, third, fourth, fifth, I'd go for that. Then go for an automatic. But I don't have much of a choice.
All right. So just coming back to this, right? So this is your first road bike. And you just want to recap a little bit. So you said you wanted something of a not such an aggressive geometry. Because you were also weighing out the Madone in Honda. And would you say this is also, you can fit like gravel tires in there? Like it is pretty wide, like the floor clearance, right?
Yeah.
And also, so the only major upgrade you did was the wheel sets.
Yeah, and the tires, if you will. Okay, so I went from the stock Bontrager tires to the Continental GP 5000s, which are quite good for rolling. And the one other change I made, yes, to be honest, is the cassette. Okay, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
The cassette, the 105 cassette came with a gear ratio which had increments of 2 for every cog, which becomes a bit hard when you're learning and you want to ride fast. So I went for a SRAM cassette. It's called a SRAM cassette, which it's an 1132, but it's got on the tougher gears, it's got an increment of just 1, not 2. So it's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17 versus an 11, 13, 15, 17, 19 on my earlier version.
Wow. You really did the research.
I mean, okay, did the research, speak to friends, you learn like that. That's the benefit again. Coming back to why I'm riding with WCR, right? You get to learn from people, right? You learn from everybody's experience, and you get to learn so much about the whole science behind riding and bikes and everything. I mean, being honest, I've learned a lot more about bikes and riding while riding with WCR than I would have ever done if I'd done it solo.
What is the biggest upgrade advice you've ever gotten? So you wanted to upgrade. What was that biggest upgrade advice?
Okay. People who are serious riders, okay, and people who are serious about riding properly, they would say the biggest upgrade probably is the wheels, okay?
I would agree.
Yeah, the wheels, I would say. Everything else, okay, let me put it this way. If you want to upgrade the bike because of weight, okay, so this is a 9 kilo, plus or minus a few hundred grams. To go down to a 7 kilo, I might as well lose 2 kilos of my own weight. Then spend a 5-figure sum buying a bike which just gives me a 2 kilo differential. I mean, that's the way I would look at it. Yeah. It's a personal opinion. Don't get me wrong.
The analyst opinion.
It's a personal opinion.
Okay, cool. And so bike sizing as well. I like to point out this, especially for new cyclists. So when you walk into the track store, you already knew you were going to get this, or were you asking the salesperson like, "Oh, okay, I'm new to cycling. What should I get?"
No. So good question. I went in with all honesty, okay? Because look, at the end of the day, if I'm spending a packet, I want to get something which I like, right? And they did look me, okay, up and down, okay, and said that I think you'd be good with the 54 or 56. This is a size 56, and they were kind enough to let me try at least 5 bikes on that day. It took me 2 hours to buy. Okay, so I tried 3 Mondas, 2 Domanis. Okay?
In different sizes? Or?
Different sizes.
Okay.
Different sizes. They said, you won't try a Madonna. I said, like, no, it's not in the budget. There's no point trying. Okay. So I tried those, and this is the one which fitted me the best. And they also recommended it because at the end of the day, you have to be honest when you walk into a bike shop with what you want. Okay. I would say do some research before you go in. Not that I did a lot of it, but do at least get an idea of what you want to be and where your comfort level lies. Because not everybody's body is built the same. Okay. This one is a size 56 because of the size of my legs and the size of my arms. Okay. I have an inseam of close to 3 feet, 85 centimeters. My arms stretch end to end, finger to finger, is close to 6 feet. Okay. 180 centimeters. So that's the reason why it's a size 56 with a stem of 120 millimeters. Okay, whereas my height, top to bottom, is just 174. And it's because of my body, okay, I decided to get this bike. In fact, I would say, to Trek's credit, they did a pretty good job in telling me what's the size of the bike, okay, and what would fit me the best. Because I didn't have a lot of pain after the first few rides when I rode this. Obviously, you'll go through a little bit of muscle soreness because you're riding something new, right? But I didn't go through a lot of pain, and I would say to their credit, to be honest.
Okay. And okay, so Domani, size 56, and you did a bike fit
Yes.
with our good friend here, Ben.
First with Performance Bike Fitters, Alan. Okay, that's because I was having a pain in my left legs. Okay, especially near the hamstrings, and that's when there was some adjustment which was required to be done on the saddle and on the cleats, and that really helped. Okay, and then I came again. I knew Ben from Performance, and when I knew that he had moved here, right, I came again because this needed some readjustment on the saddle, simply because of the fact that I again started getting pain on a different part of my left leg, but more towards the IT band and the and again a little bit towards the quads and a little bit of a cramp issue as well. That's when I decided he did some adjustments as well. In fact, the ride which I did with you after that, I got a really bad cramp.
So the bike fit definitely helps you.
It helps. It helped me.
And would you recommend a bike fit?
Again, to each his own. Okay. I think it depends upon how well somebody knows his or her body and how well you are proportioned to a bike. Okay. The way I would say it is this: you can't adjust your body up or down. Okay. You can't say, I want to make my leg shorter or my arm longer. You have to do the adjustment in the bike, right? And for people who have atypical bodies or body structures which are not, I would say, if I were to use the word standard, quote unquote, okay, somebody like me with a 3-foot inseam and a 6-foot arm span, call it a wingspan, okay, you would need, the bike fit does help because it helps to optimize the way the position of the various components on the bike are to your body. There's no such thing in the world as perfection. Okay, you'll never get a perfect bike. Otherwise, you would say, you go to Trek or Specialized, say, please make a bike for me. Okay, and they'll say, okay, fine, we'll make a bike for you, but we'll charge you the cost of a Rolls Royce.
Just like those custom made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to adjust the bike to what your own body is, right? And at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable and happy on the ride. There's no point going on a long ride, okay, and say, oh gosh, I got my legs are sore, my calves are sore, my hamstrings pulled, this, that, the other. Then, there's no fun in it. Then you say, and before long, you'll say, I don't want to do a bike ride anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So it depends person to person. There are people who do it by themselves. That's fine, okay? And there are people who go to a bike fitter, right? Like me. In my case, I think going to a bike fitter helps simply because they also have the tools and the technology to do it a little bit more mathematically. For people who have, I would say more typical standard body sizes, I think they might want to do it by themselves.
Right. Okay. Before we move on to IG Q&A, we're just running a bit short of time.
Sure.
Reviews of this bike that you have. What's your review on this?
I would say it's fantastic. Okay. I'm not biased because it's my own bike. Okay. It's very comfortable. I've done 3 or 4 round islands on this bike. Okay. I've done climbs in Singapore. Okay. And you do have some really tough ones out here. Not very tough, but you do have tough ones. And I survived on the bike. Bike survived, I survived. I have progressed quite a bit on this bike. It's very comfortable to ride with. I don't have major leg pain or any sort of issues. It's brought me safely to ride. It brought me safely back home. And I have, to be honest, I would say I have progressed as well, right? I mean, my first ride on the hybrid, I could barely touch 18 kmph, 18 kilometers per hour. My last few rides on flats I've been able to do, I'm being honest out here, not blowing my own trumpet, 33, 34, 35, which I think is, for somebody who's just been doing this for a year and a half, and that too not very often, just once a week because of work commitments, I think it's pretty okay. And I'm thankful, one, to the bike, and also to the support that I get from all the people, including my friends in WCR. They are so supportive. They are so encouraging, right? I mean, I've had falls where people have stopped and, they've stood by me. So, that makes a big difference. It really motivates you.
Would you make any more upgrades to the bike? Is
Good question.
your wife on YouTube?
No. I don't think she would mind. I don't think much now at this point. I mean, okay, I already have a stem which is quasi-integrated. Okay, with the wires going inside. Okay, at max I can get is a lighter handlebar. Okay, I really can't change the frame. Okay, it is what it is. I can't change the weight of the frame. It is what it is. Do I want to fit a Di2 or a SRAM ETAP on this? Not at this point. I'm happy with the 105. So, no, I don't think on this particular bike I'll be doing a lot of upgrades. I mean, if I were to upgrade to a slightly different bike, okay, then I might use these wheels, which I really like on the new one. And then, called bike cost averaging.
Bike cost averaging, yeah. Okay, cool. We move on to the Instagram Q&A.
Sure.
This is interesting because I would say 90% of what people submitted was on the price and how much you paid for it. Yes, they said, I'll just read a few out to you. The first one being, do you feel like you've been scammed paying so much for this? Why so expensive and only 105? The price is a bit steep. Why didn't you top up a bit and get a Madone? Looks a bit nicer, but you've already explained a little bit on the Madone. Holy shit, 9 kgs without bags on a modern day racing carbon road bike. Is this a tank? I'm not going to read out because there's a lot. So what's your response to that?
Okay, let's take it one by one. Okay, let's take the first one on the cost, right?
Yeah.
The first one is on the cost.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you post that the bike cost 8.4K? When you asked the questions, when you asked people to post,
the one that you submitted to me.
Yeah. When I submitted to you, I broke down the cost into 2 parts. Okay? The bike with the stock wheels is not 8.4K. It's 4.6K, say SGD.
Oh.
Okay. The balance, the remaining 3.7 is the wheel. Okay. So you have to compare like to like, apples to apples. Compare, even if I take these wheels into consideration and take the all-in cost of the bike, I'm not counting cost of lights and all because lights cost varies. This one, okay, with this current spec, except the Di2, okay, is comparable to another famous brand, okay, which also has an endurance and is in the same price range. Go onto the website and figure it out. Okay, that's one. Do a like-to-like comparison. That's what that's what I would say. Second thing is that it's the cost of the wheel. Look at the cost of the wheel. Do a like-to-like with the top end of the wheels. The NVs, the Firecrest Zips, okay, the cost is similar. It's the same. So therefore, when you add the two, yes, the cost looks high. But when you break up the costs, okay, and you look at the bike with the stock wheels, it's very comparable. to some of the mass market brands, okay? And with the wheels, it is still comparable to an endurance bike of this company's biggest competitor.
So that's Ashit's refute to all this comments.
It's not a refute. It's just I'm just calling a spade a spade.
Yeah. So you've done all your research obviously before you bought the bike. You've compared prices amongst different brands for a endurance bike.
Again, being honest, I didn't do much of research. Okay, I did some. I said, okay, I don't want to spend too much. Let me first go to Decathlon. I like the Tri-Band. They just didn't have it in stock. What do you do? Okay, then we ask them when it comes in stock, we don't know. Okay, we want to ride with West Coast riders. I can't do it on a hybrid and go on long rides, and then obviously I'll end up getting dropped. Right? I could only push so much on a 18 kilo hybrid, which is what I was riding. Went to a couple of other bike stores, similar story, right? Remember, at that point in time, 2021, there was a big supply chain problem going on in the world. Not just with bikes, with every other component as well. Even cars were being shipped out late from the factories because they didn't have chips coming in for their computer stuff inside, right? Similar story. So there was a supply chain issue, and Trek had had this in stock, and I liked it. I bought it.
Can you believe it that the bike that I'm getting, I don't know if people would have already known what bike I'm getting by the time this video comes out, is still getting delayed. And it's already post-COVID. What's going on, man? There's no computer chip inside my bicycle. I've been waiting for, 2 or 3 months.
Maybe it's a custom one for you.
I wish. For the price I'm paying, I don't think it's a custom one. I want to apologize to people who submitted the questions because I didn't screenshot their pictures here. Did it a bit too early. So anyway.
No, ask me a few more questions. I'm happy to answer
that. Francis, I've interviewed him twice already. He has very interesting bikes. A very funny question he submitted. He is very interested in buying this bike. What is the lightest one can build this? Wow, Francis.
Okay. The very same bike, the very same brand, Trek, yes, you do have an SLR 9 Gen 4. Okay, they have all these acronyms, okay, on the bike. We look up the Trek website. This one is something, they have 2 types of carbon frames. One is a 500 OCLV, then an 800 OCLV. So the 800 OCLV is a lighter version of this. So this one, yes, you can go a bit lighter. Probably it will take you down to like 7.5, 8 kilos. Okay, you'll get a 1.5 kilo differential. You'll get the deeper wheels, the carbon wheels with that. You'll get the 800 OCLV. You'll get a Di2. Okay, and that's how, with the same spec, okay, the same geometry. Okay, everything else being equal, you'll get it at 7.5 to 8K.
Okay, maybe just 2 more questions.
Sure.
What's the handlebar and stem here? It looks like a neat solution.
It is, isn't it?
But it's the Trek. It's just a Trek integrated cockpit, right?
No. So Trek has 2 types. One is a full integrated cockpit, which is there on the Madone, okay, which is a one-piece handlebar stem sort of a thing. This one is a separate handlebar and a separate stem. So this is a VRCF 40 millimeter alloy handlebar, okay, and the stem is a RCS Pro 120 millimeter, but this one allows you to hide the wires inside, the cables inside. So the stem is a bit hollow from inside, as you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, so the wires run through it, and then they have this concept of, the spacers. Okay, so it runs through the spacers into the stem. Sorry, into the frame. And that's why it looks neat. Okay, it's a pretty neat looking thing if you were to ask me.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't know if that can be fitted to other bike brands or other Trek bikes. I'm pretty sure some things are, we can be moved across. But it's one thing which allows you to make something look neat without breaking the bank.
Okay. Can I ask how much was the upgrade?
What upgrade?
The handlebar and stem. Oh, it came with the bike.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I paid for the handlebar. I don't remember the cost, to be honest now, because I had to fit this thing in my car. Okay, the 42 millimeter wouldn't allow me to fold the fork after removing the front wheel and close the trunk. Okay, my car is also a little bit aero.
Okay, cool. Last question for the day. It's on your saddlebags. Why so many bags? Are you going bike touring? That saddlebag. Unfortunately, I have to remove it, but it's over there. If someone could just toss the bags over.
Oh, sure.
It's a top tube bag and a saddlebag.
Oh, yes.
Maybe you can just explain a little bit more about this.
Sure.
What do you have inside?
Okay, top tube bag. Almost everybody has
I think
this.
this is a saddle. This is a top tube.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Saddlebag, almost everybody has this, right? Bike tools, okay? 2 tubes, tire levers, carbon pellet, okay? And also a multi-tool, all inside this, goes up at the back, okay? Yes, you can say I'm preparing for bike packing, and if I can climb up NUS or NTU with this luggage, okay, and if I can go at 35 with this luggage, then it's good for the body, right?
Extra weight.
Extra weight. But to be honest, no. This one has. I carry a pump. Okay. I'm one person who doesn't like to carry a lot of stuff in the jerseys. Okay. So carry a pump and okay. Personal thing. I'm a vegetarian, right? So not all gas stations, if I stop, have something if I'm feeling hungry for a vegetarian. So I carry granola bars inside this. Granola bars don't sit well in my jersey after a long ride, especially in the heat. And I also carry a pair of glasses now because I wear contact lenses when I ride. That's the reason why you have this luggage.
I'm the complete polar opposite. Because I don't like putting things on my bike. Everything goes into the jersey. But I do understand people. Some people just don't like putting things in their jersey because it feels weird. There's too many things and it drags your jersey down. But funnily, just now when I took everything out because I had to hang it onto this rack, I had to take out the top tube bag, and your friends were laughing and they say like, you should just leave it like that and just remove all the bags. But doesn't it look much better without the bags? Personally, I mean, obviously this is functional, right?
Yeah, I mean, functional, right? I mean, again, to each person his own, right? I mean, I would say that if I like something with a top tube bag, okay, somebody may not like it, right? It's something like this. Somebody goes to the Louvre and says, I like the Mona Lisa, but somebody says, I don't like the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Okay. At the end of the day, I want to have all my tools. I want to have my food. Okay. And I want to be safe. Right? And I really don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm there to enjoy the ride. If I'm happy with it, so be it.
Right. I think that's it. All of the questions that I have for you today. Before we wrap up, give you a bit of airtime. If there's anything you would like to address people who are watching, anything you would like to advise them, people who are looking into potentially buying a Trek Madone, what should they look out?
Domane.
A Trek Domane. Sorry, I filmed so many Madones that it's stuck in my head. When I look at a Trek, I think of a Madone. Sorry, a Trek Domane. And new cyclists who are trying to venture into the sport, what do you have to tell them?
Oh, okay. Again,
sorry, that was a bit of a handful.
Okay, I'll try my best. I would say first know what you want. Okay, I know I'm thinking again like an analyst. Okay, or I'm thinking very analytically, but at the end of the day, you have to be a little bit more clinical in terms of what you have to decide what you want. Right? Do not go and buy a bike because of the Joneses. Because XYZ has got a Madone or a Pinarello Dogma or a Tarmac SL8 or an SL7. I want to get that. No. Okay. Simply because of the fact that what is good for somebody may not be good for you. Right. I'm not saying you go and buy the cheapest bike out there. Okay. Or the most down market or the most mass market. Go out there, do some research. Find out what you are most comfortable with and what you'll be most happy with. The last thing you want is spending a packet of money and then regretting it. Oh my gosh, I wish I had bought something else. Right? Now, obviously, when you buy a bike, when you get on a bike, you'll always feel the need, I need to upgrade this, I need to upgrade that. Natural. It's human. Fine. But those upgrades should be something which give you the added benefit, like the wheels, for example. Ride the bike first, okay, with the stock wheels. See what you are happy with, okay? And if you're happy with them, stick with them, okay? If you need a speed boost, then get the deep wheels. My friend Vincent out here, he rides a Canyon with stock wheels, okay? And this guy's bloody fast, okay? He can go like a Concorde, okay? So at the end of the day, it's you and your legs which matter, okay? And you have to be happy with what you buy. just don't buy something because XYZ has something. That would be my advice. I mean, and then once you're happy with what you have and you are into the sport, then look at upgrading, right? It's like I would say it's very much like this, right? You buy a car, okay? You start off with a mass market brand, and then say, okay, fine, I've driven this for like 5-6 years. Now let me look at buying, a Mercedes or a BMW or a Jaguar. Same thing.
Having owned the Domane for some time already, if you were to turn back time, will you still get this bike?
Good question.
In all honesty.
Okay. I would say turning back time to December 2021, yes, I would go back and buy an endurance bike. Whether it'll be a Domane or whether it'll be a Decathlon Tribin, okay, or a Specialized Roubaix, okay, or a Giant Defy, okay. If the choice was available for me to try, I wouldn't mind trying the others, right? Now, because as I said, no bike is perfect, right? Trek may be good in some parts, it may not be good in some others. Same thing for the Specialized Roubaix or the Giant Defy. But yes, if you were to ask me, I think the right question to ask is, would you go for this category of a bike, right? Yeah. Would you go for a more aero version, okay, like a Madone or a Dogma? Or would you go for something which is like a climber bike, like an Emonda? No, I would go for an endurance bike.
Because if it was a Madone or something more aero, you might end up having more injuries, or you might not even like the sport, right? You might be thinking, it's too painful. And
it's painful, and you have to listen to your body at the end of the day. Okay, being honest, I'm not that young. Okay, at the end of the day, I have to ride something which is comfortable. If I'm riding doing a full round island without LP Lamppost 1 in Singapore, it's around 130 kilometers, counting the distance to and fro from my home, right? 130 kilometers, I should be comfortable on a bike. Okay, if I'm going to get a lot of backache or shoulder ache or leg ache, then you don't want to have a situation where you get tired of the sport simply because the equipment is not good enough to support you. It may be good enough for somebody else, but it's not good enough for you. Keep that in mind.
That's a perfect closure for today's episode. I'm not sure if people even watch all the way to the end, but thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Can we get a round of applause for Ashit? Thank you.
Been to the dark side, I don't know. So if you wanna shoot far away, I won't go back to you. I'm stronger, I'm stronger, I'm stronger today. I'm stronger today. Próxima para enloquecerme, pero voy a draw the line. Que yo ya sé que de ti I got to stay away, got to stay away. Sé que como un trofeo quieres tenerme, pero I don't need no one. Que yo ya sé que de ti I got to stay away, got to stay away.